Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour. We're glad to be in front of your screens once again to talk about issues touching on our national and international lives. This evening, we are going to be looking at the limited representation of youth and women in political roles in Cameroon. Who is to blame? Is it the government that is not facilitating the young men and women to be represented in political positions as well as our women, or the youth themselves who are drinking themselves away to stupor, and women who are shying away from taking up political roles? We also are going to be looking at the prevailing situation of substance consumption by youth in Cameroon. Is there need for Cameroonians to be very, very worried about their future, going by the amount of alcohol consumed by young boys and girls, cigarette consumptions, amongst other drugs? We are going to be discussing on these two topics with our panelists who are with me in the studio. Fah Elvis Tayong is in the house with us. He is the Undersecretary for Communication for the Cameroon Renaissance Movement. Good evening, Fah. We're glad to have you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Kum. It's my pleasure being here today, and special greetings to the level panelists who are here, including the Iron Lady present as part of us today. It's my pleasure being here, and greetings to Professor Maurice Kamto, who equally carried out a spectacular move at the Enchanklif there to commune with the families concerned, as well as to carry out some traditional rites as customs and traditions demand in the West region, to cleanse that area from further accidents. Greetings to all other persons, Bajo, who is watching me there in Bamenda, and also a national coordinator for the Golden Award, and all other laureates, including the Dio of Bamenda 3. It's my pleasure being here today.
What was spectacular in what Professor Maurice Kamto did yesterday? Yes,
what was very spectacular one was the fact that he decided to get down, we'd call that grassroots-oriented movement, which is a normal move that is supposed to be carried out by any leader who is grassroots-oriented. It's unfortunate. If CBDMP were here, I would have equally told you that's what their own president was supposed to have done. Not dedicating persons, but being there in person helps to calm down. That's what we are in Africa. There is the other saying that desperate problems need desperate solution. And that's why if you go to Burkina Faso, you discover that Captain Ibrahim Traoré, when most of the wives of the military personnel suffered when their husbands were killed during an attack with the militiamen in the northern part of Mali, and he went right down, got into the quarters, went to their houses, held their children and spoke to them. So if you could go down to that kind of issue, it means that at least the women felt more relief. And so I think with the movement of Professor Maurice Kamto going right down to commune with traditional rites carried out there, I understand that most of the families that were grieved, at least the church, that a leader came right closer to them and did not delegate powers for others to do it on his behalf. So it's good.
Should he be calling for investigations and soil study to be done for future cases not to happen than engaging in what they did?
Yes, that one is part. We must be able to accept this. I'm very sorry to say that. Probably modernity and religiosity has killed our cultural values. There are things that when they happen, you must be able to find out. Take a look at when the Germans were constructing bridges. We understand in part of Sarawak that the bridges that when they construct, it gets bad tomorrow. They construct, it gets bad tomorrow, and the chiefs in that area will tell you that please do this particular thing, and once it's done, you find that bridge itself sustaining itself. So these things are not for nothing.
Professor Maurice Kamto was asked to pour salt to cleanse the area.
Yeah, no, okay. He was not called. He decided to come out. He's not. Somebody called him. He understands who was from the West, and you know they have common characteristics in terms of culture. Those in the Northwest have the common characteristics. What you would do in baby is what you can also do in womb. Okay. And so in the West region, the same thing was done. So I think he was on the right doing just what he had to do to come in with the custodians of that area.
Also with us this evening is Reverend Anyere, a pastor of the PCC, just to announce that Reverend Mickey Hans has been elected the 7th moderator of the Presbyterian Cameroon. We use this opportunity to say congratulations to him and to all the Christians of the PCC, and we pray that his reign is going to be spirit-filled for the PCC. Good evening, Reverend. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening. It's my ultimate pleasure to be here again so that we can talk about issues concerning our society.
Tah Mai Javis is also part of our panel. Good evening, Javis. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening to the Reverend. Good evening to Cameroon. And especially good evening to the people of village who are watching us around Kefuka and those in Moya. Good evening to the Bishop of Boya, his Lordship BB, and of course the entire people of Cameroon at home. Okay, we are waiting on Kuate, who is supposed to be part of our tonight's edition of the program. He should be caught in traffic. He is an economist. We hope that he's going to be joining us. I'll start with you, Fah Elvis Tayong. When you look at the political setup, administrative setup, and you look at youth, and we very comfortable.
Well, not. I think that after the Geneva Convention, things are still taking a slow pace. It's not very, very comfortable with the manner in which youths and women are fairly represented within the administrative setup. But I think that more still has to be done. But the bottom line of all what we're about is the fact that in as much as we will be able to hold the power B as not forcing that, because it has to do with the politics. It's just like we talk about regional balance. They will tell you there is a national entrance examination, what they call in French concours. They always tell you that there should be a quota meant for the minority. That's why you have the Bororo or the like ours. There are some positions was meant for them. Whether they score average or you have to put them so that you have what they call that regional balance. It is very normal in order to keep a society well represented within the administrative setup. And so it's the government's prerogative, that's for sure, that women choose different status of life. Like when we go to polling on that, disabled should also have a share when they talk about councils and other like. So all of this goes a long way to balance it up. But now where is policies are the problem, because when you don't policies, now take for example, when they are going for elections, they always tell you most of the times if the man is standing in for the MP, the alternate should be a woman. Sometimes if you have those going in for councils, they say they realize that men are too many there. All right, they factor in women to balance it. But now to the realities on the ground in terms of this, it doesn't really take as per se. It is true, things have improved in some communities, which is also very laudable. But I thought for the government to do more than that. But besides that, I will tell you that the problem is also coming from these youths and these women. Most of the times it took for women to be brought to the limelight because we're first of all working with old customs and traditions that had made us to believe that the girl child was educated compared to the number of boy child to educate. But now the dynamics have changed. Now they have changed just for the women to get. And so but it takes now a strategic planning and process for those who want to fit into those places to put in an effort. Women must be able, you are supposed to have vibrant women associations that are supposed to be pressing hard on the government, be they NGOs or local governmental organizations or foundations, to tell the government, no, please, know that as we're coming in like that. I'm surprised I've not really seen them very active during this period, apart from maybe Fabrice Lena, Nawiwi, which are a move, and then that I see. That's talking about the aspect of youth to have a say. But I think most of the organizations have an error here. They are missing in action. Because when you start ringing a bell like this, be it a women's association, or be it a youth association, or a youth organization, or a youth foundation, you begin to ring a bell and let the government know that, from what they are saying is true. We need to factor, because the time is now. And the truth in it is that, if you look at it, once the government structure has few women and few youth in it, it automatically affects the other status of the society in terms of governance. It's automatic. Because if you have probably 1/4 of the ministries where you have women, it can be acceptable. But then when you have probably only one seat of the ministry, or 1/7 of the ministries where you have women in it, it becomes a call for concern. And we have seen that for the position that women have been able to handle, they have been able to produce results. So I don't see why. The other aspect is youth. I was going through the new government of Botswana, and I was marveled to find that ministers are there. We have 35, we have 27 years old and all the like. This is what we used to find in the Scandinavian countries, which is now coming to Africa. That you find ministers who are youth. Because it's ironic that a minister of youth affairs is more than 70 years. You start asking, how do you even imagine that you go into a forum, you have young guys that are coming in, you see the vibrant, and then you see an old man good to be a grandfather, and he's called the minister of youth. You come to see about it, we talk about minister of women's affairs. It simply means that woman is supposed to have what they call motherly values in her, that she can listen, she can inculcate them. But if you have that, and then you don't find it being represented that way, it becomes a problem. So we are at a crossroad, and I think that the powers that be and the kangaroo system in Yaoundé are supposed to know that if in the Second Republic you have not considered youth and women, when we get to the Third Republic, we will show you an example of how youths are supposed to be fully active in the governance system as well as women. That one is a lesson they will learn come 2025 and 2026, whether they like it or not.
Yes, Reverend Mrs. Anyere, yes, are you very comfortable with the representation that you see from the women's perspective? Political roles, sir?
Yes. Mr. Leo, I'm not very comfortable. But then, before I go and start blaming the government, I want us to first of all look at these youths and these women. The first thing about women is that most of them are content. They understand that, okay, I'm already a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt, and I have a family and I have a salary which I can manage within my means and reach. Why should I go and stress myself up to start a political game that may take my head or something? And they don't even have the shove, then the push from their colleagues. They will instead discourage them rather than encouraging them that if you want to try this, they will even quote others. Others have tried and failed. Who do you think you are? Do you think that you can manage where others have failed? So it keeps the women at bay. Now you have the youths, whom I want to start also to attribute some blames to them, though the blame game is lame before I go to the side of the government. Most of these youths are grumbling. Things are not moving. Things are not working for us. But most of them are not putting conscious effort to seek a solution. It is, some are so entitled, including the women. It is easier for them to sit and quote that the International Labour Organization has said this, has said that, this NGO has said this and said that, and then they sit and lie on their laurels. When you quote these things without putting conscious effort by seeking justice, I don't think that you arrive at any solution. When I want to come now to the part of the government, there is something I've termed ironical antagonism. What is ironical antagonism? This idea of the youths are leaders of tomorrow, but then the older generation sit in power. As my brother says, power is sweet. So they sit there and make pronouncements such as youths are leaders of tomorrow. But then these youths are not given the initiative to lead. It must be a shared responsibility. He even talked about some government officials going on who are almost due retirement, but they are still working. There are some who go on retirement and come back and work in lucrative positions where there are ample youths who could also work in those positions and also excel for that matter. And it doesn't just end there. You will see when it comes to the listing in elections, the youths don't prevail. The older generations, they have the advantage when it comes, because most of our political parties practice the list system, and the older generations, they are of the advantage. When you look at, for instance, in the parliament, you discover that the caution that is allocated for you to become a parliamentarian is very expensive. I think it's 1 million francs. How many youths can afford 1 million francs? Some are barely struggling to eat. So most of them cannot even afford this kind of amount. But I think here that what the government can do is to strategize and give special positions for youths, especially for those from 35 and below. And if they are politically oriented, they can also hold their hands and say, okay, come, we'll continue to orient you. Talking about political orientation again, most youths are politically staffed. What do I mean? They are not orientated, and they feel that politics is for a particular brand of people. So at the end of the day, when they feel that politics is a specificity for just some particular people, they will sit and be disgruntled and they will draw conclusions. Rather, instead of, I'm not saying that they should go and study political sciences, right? But at least they should orientate themselves to understand the political status quo of their nation so that they can also have a say. I want to give an example. If only those who are bike riders can decide to say, let us contribute 1,000 francs and promote and project one youth to become a parliamentarian, I think it will go a long way. It may be a crazy idea, but it's a force to reckon with. It will go a long way, but there is no cooperation even amongst the youths. It gets to a point where a youth who is now a teacher, or let me say generally a civil servant who is earning a salary, is content with that salary and will say that no, let's go and have a beer, and will only be contented to share a beer with you. Like the Chinese will say, they will not want to teach you how to catch fish, but they are contented to continue to give you fish to eat and play the role of a demigod. And even those who are politically oriented and are entrepreneurs have the money, have the means, but they will see younger ones who are really being pushful and who can stand the test of time when it comes to our political arena. They will still not give them the leeway and the leverage because they want to remain in power. And also, dear panelists, what I understand is that when you are in charge of positions in power in our government, the law says that you should be there for at least 9 years and then you should call it quits. But unfortunately, most of our cadres, let me put it like that in French, since we are both ways, they are there for 9 years, for 10 years, for 20 years, and nobody wants to relinquish power. And then youths are graduating every day and they have offered the same. They have studied in the same fields. They even are more inclined to do more because of technological changes, but they are not being placed in those positions. So I want to conclude, dear panelists, that it should be shared. The responsibility should be shared both by the government and the youths and the women. If one sit and fold their arms, like our brother said, power is supposed to be seized. If you sit and you think that everything will fall on your lap, we are not in the days of the Israelites when manna fell. Even when the manna fell, they had to step out and use effort to pick it up and go and prepare it. Today, most people just sit and draw conclusions. Now them get them, now them get party, now them get country. But what have you as an individual done? Like we used to say, remember that if you give others your right to vote and you sit and grumble and abhor them behind, you hate and you hurt. You are instead projecting them because they will perform their civic rights and responsibilities, and at the end of the day you will have nothing to show for. You will continue to swim in grumbling, which is not fair.
Now, limited youth and women in leadership positions in Cameroon. The question squarely to you is who is to blame here?
It's a shared responsibility.
Okay.
Because we have several factors. We have lack of quality education. We have also cultural issues. We also have social cultural norms. We have limited opportunities and political exclusion. Now, to focus on that, I want to start by highlighting that we, the youth, and also our women, they have also failed in their responsibility in taking up leadership position. Because if you see, in the words of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he said leadership or a position is not given, but it is fought and it is taken. That leadership is not given a la carte, that you have to seize it. And if you look at the realities here in Africa, who are those that steal ballot boxes and run away with them? We, the youth. or the elections in Nigeria and the elections that we experience in Cameroon and everywhere, if you see issues of intimidation, voter intimidation, harassment, at the center of it, who are those who are actually paid to carry the art? Are the youth. Now, if you look at the reality of what we are experiencing, why are youth excluded? Also women. I will start with the cultural norms first of all. The cultural norms make us understand, especially Africa, it puts a patriarchy system, which makes the people to understand that as long as the elders are up there, the people, the youth and the women are just supposed to do yes, 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 yes. And so this patriarchy system now have a conflict with the Western introduced system of governance, whereby those within the traditional norm feel like it is a responsibility of the elderly to determine what happens in a community. And that's why you see even the church, especially the Catholic Church, has this same system where you will never see women in leadership position in terms of, let me say, within the church's spiritual leadership itself. That's why you see the priests have that overburdened responsibility, and the reverend sisters have just an assistant role to play. And if you look at that patriarchy norm, it goes down to our system where every governance in every state look at it that the men have a bigger responsibility than the women. But I think that the women and the youth need to come out of this patriarchy. They need to fight it, because most at times we are given the opportunity. We make our parents and our elders to understand that without them we will not fit. And that's why you see when elections are coming, we run behind them and get money, run behind them. How many youths in Cameroon actually can stand and tell you that we will not take money and vote 10 times or 5 times? How many? But when elections are coming, most of them are the persons that collect money. You see this person collect money from here. So we have that responsibility to stand tall and say, no, we cannot. If you look at states and nations that they have succeeded in pushing through, I will not want to look at this aspect of saying that there should be legislation to say that women are, when there's a man here, there should be a woman here, because it defeats the purpose of meritocracy, and it makes us to understand, and you put the women in a weaker position, make the women to understand that they cannot be able to sustain that position if it is not that law, of which it is not true. There are brilliant women who are brilliant than men, and there are men also sometimes that are also is vice versa. So we cannot go by the issue of the fact that let us create a special law to enable women to have their place. People should be given equal opportunity to fight. Look at what happened in 2016 in America. Hillary Clinton fought herself to the position of becoming the flag bearer of the Democratic Party, defeating seasoned politicians like Bernie Sanders, defeating seasoned politicians who were at that level, even Joe Biden at that level, who probably said he will not run, but the person he supported, Hillary Clinton, fought her way. And so if we are saying that women are actually lacking in politics in Cameroon because of the government, I will not believe that is government. Look at women also in Cameroon who are making strife at the political landscape. They are fighting their way. I think that women need to get off the comfort of the fact that we are just support role. No, whether you're a woman or you're a man, that same knowledge, God has given us that same knowledge, that same skills. I bet you, I have seen very brilliant girls of my age that are more brilliant than myself, and sometimes when they stand in front, I push them in front, I give them the roles, I say lead, because it is what you can offer. It should not be based on the fact that they are women or they are youth. Every youth has a responsibility. We have seen also intelligent youth out there who are making strife. So at the end of the day, it is an individual initiative for us to fight our way up. If you come back to look at what happened in Britain before we had Sunak and Stemmer, we had a female British Prime Minister who also fought her way. And if you go to Germany, you look at Germany, Angela Merkel fought her way. And so the question we should be asking our mothers and our young girls in Cameroon is, how ready or how much fight are they putting to show that it should not be a matter of saying that, okay, let us just give women this position, but it should be on a meritorious basis. Are we ready to fight no, we are not ready to fight, because most often you call one of our mothers to talk on TV. They say, no, I don't want to talk for that on our team. Or sometimes when you call young girls to come, they'll say, no, it's a man's thing. They are been so comfortable that it's a man's thing. To me, I think that they should seize the opportunity, and nothing is a man's thing. We have seen brilliant women who are mechanics. We have seen brilliant women who are driving trucks. We have seen brilliant women who are doing all sorts of jobs. So to me, that stereotype is caused by the youth are responsible, the women are responsible. I will leave the government out with 30% of the blame, but it is us that can seize the opportunity and make our voices heard. Because if we put a law that if a man is here, a woman should be here, it puts the woman on a lesser position, which means that without her intellect, she can never have that without you paying pity. But you should not pay pity to her, because she's intelligent. It should be an open course. I totally and I'm against this issue of even the regional balance of a thing. There are youths that have made international strides. Let's look at America. Let's look at even Botswana. That Botswana that are calling. You go there, you see youths who are doing excellent work. If you come out of your cocoon, you will actually be who you want to be. To me, we have to sit up.
Wait Melville Lagbane says, I'm watching from Bafu. Sam Michael Kibuma says, watching from mile 14. Boya Okocha JJ says, I'm watching from Tiko. Nkwain Austin is watching us from Kangaroo. I don't know where Kangaroo is. Chance Kebe Bright says, I'm watching from Kumba. Noel Ambu says, I'm watching from Yaoundé. Kelvin Linway is watching from Yaoundé. Now, we have limited representations of the youth and women in political positions, but surprisingly, when you look at the numbers, the youth have the numbers and the women also have the numbers. So who is to blame if they cannot mobilize themselves and put themselves into these roles?
Yes, I think Javis said a while ago that
we have when it's time to elect a mayor or an MP, we have female candidates. We shun the same candidates and complain that we are not represented, or the youth are candidate.
Yes, I think that it's a two-way traffic. The blame game goes to the two sides of the coin, but it goes more on the side of the youth and the women. For the few years I've been into politics, I realized that the women are good at galvanizing. When probably maybe the aspirant or the candidates is supposed to visit an area, though they are good, they will tell their friends, the friends will come out in their party uniforms, food will be prepared, they'll be carrying, then the youth will be there to carry chairs, canopies, and share drinks. So the whole issue has to do with political education and the changing of the mindset, which is what people are already doing here. Because the mindset problem, and most of the times even, like what Rev was saying, there are times you even propose a woman when you are sitting in a hall. I propose Madam Clarice. No, I mean, you are proposing somebody as already declining, but she is willing to weigh her support behind a man. So it's not on a fellow woman. And not even on a fellow woman. That even makes it even worse. So you can imagine. We know how elections used to be heated in the days of Honorable Faka, of blessed memory, in Fako. It used to be a tough issue. And even she used to take it by force, like what we are saying here, because if she was waiting on the fellow women were the ones who were even against her, and so she would not want to take it, and before you know it, it will be an aspect of her forcing her way through. Take a look at the youth, for example. You just mentioned something here which is very critical. We constitute, or the youth rather, they constitute more than that 65% of the total population. I mean, active population, what about that? Now, if they have this active population that we're talking about, and then at the same time, these youths themselves, being very active, are used as a weapon of election rigging. Now, like Reverend said a while ago, the powers that be have taken advantage of the poverty situation. Now, you know that a youth will, that's why most of them are vulnerable. They will be the ones who be involved in the rigging mechanisms. Carrying of ballot boxes to areas where they are not supposed to carry is done by the youth.
Blocking of votes.
Blocking of votes done by the youth. And the youth will protect probably an elder man to carry all the rigging mechanisms with impunity against other youth who want to even castigate that particular exercise. And now, when you look at it, I told persons several times that I have militated in a party, I don't want to be calling the name, but the one thing I realized that the bosses there or the MPs or the mayors will not want you to arise to a particular position, but they will like giving you assignments. So in the party, I was always an errand boy. Tayong, you know how to do this, bam, you go, yes, honorable, yes, Lord Mayor. And when you come back, they give you a small 10,000 francs. But none of them will sit down to say, okay, Fah, you look intelligent, let me see what we can do. Can we open for you a media organization, a newspaper? We sponsor it for 1 year, for so you become, no, you don't have those kind of stories. And so, most of the youths are drivers. Most of them are bodyguards. You see the role they play. And sometimes we undermine the role of a bodyguard. Mobilizers for that matter. And they will tell you, okay, you go ahead and get the population. That's when they'll give you money, when they want to go and do those kind of dirty jobs. If you are going to Munya, you go and meet, and they look for influential youths in the first place. That's the mechanism they use. Influential youths who will go now and then get to you presidents and all the like and soften the grounds before they come. Now, what is the irony in the whole show? After they take power, the very person who was living with you becomes too busy. The very person who could pick your call, even at midnight, when you call now, he has an automated message. I'm in a meeting, please, I'll call you later. And then women themselves, whom they had promised that they will help their children go to school, you want to come now, it's like you are boring the person. Early in the morning, you're in front of the person's house, and he tells you, the body can go and tell her that I'm not around or I'm still sleeping. So you see, it becomes, it's a usual routine. And what is the irony? After some time, they still come back with the same tactics. And the whole scenario continues. So at the end of it, it's a vicious circle. Thank you, David. It's a vicious circle. So what do? We are now saying that the time is now. If youth were respecting the quota of the total population of 65, it means youth would have been in power by now. If they were following that. You are refusing to involve the ring because a man of 70 years will not carry ballot boxes and be running behind the quarters. He cannot for the whole run. What's that power for the first day? And so the youth who are vibrant, having other energy, they'll be down fighting over ballot boxes. So the times are changing as per se. Now, who is to blame? It means that the youth and the women carry a greater share of that blame. Come even to church elections, it's the same. I said some while ago, I'm a Presbyterian, and I said, but why can a woman not postulate for moderator? That had been my problem. And I kept asking the question, nobody has answered that question. From the time I was in CPC, but I'm going to, I said, but no. I want to, when I saw there was a list circulating that I could not authenticate it, and I saw one of the list, I said, that's my candidate. How it happens, I did not see the list again, coming again. So my desire of seeing a woman coming was squashed completely.
It falls within
Yes.
the patriarchal system. Like
Yeah.
if you look at the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
the priests are the leaders of the church.
Yeah.
And that's why you never see a reverend sister offering mass because
Yeah.
you tell that
No,
Jesus
you know with the Catholic Church is
was
different a
the
little
leader.
bit. You know with the press, they have made it in a way
It's
that
an extraction from the
yes,
Catholic Church.
but you know,
so-
press they modify theirs. That's why women are pastors now. You understand? Women are cheerleaders and all the like. But then my worry is we have a handful of reverend. We have Reverend Anyere, this Reverend here. There are many of them. And I ask myself, and the worry, the bad thing is that they are all silent. Let me be honest with you. Presbyterian pastors hear me very well. The women are always silent even when it is hot, for fear of stigmatization. We've had a controversial election here, which is good. I'm not refusing who has been there. But the issue is that the women, when the thing was hot, women who were supposed to take, because when women decided, things happen. Oh. If the women in the Presbyterian church said that from CWF and Louis Acquire and say we want this, it will happen. But the question is that we are taking the blame to them. They don't want to take the bull by the horn because it's a matter of taking the bull by the horn.
Number one opposition to other female potential candidates.
Yep.
They would prefer that all of them stay
Yes, it's a worry.
Except I'm lying.
The church. We are
No,
talking
no,
about
across
leadership in general.
Yes.
across the board.
I don't want to about check whether you
Who is
are
a greater
Yes.
enemy to a woman than a woman? Because let's take political wise.
Political
We
wise,
have Estandang postulate for the post of president. Madame Kawala and the rest.
Kawala.
You guys are the majority.
The majority.
Who did you vote for?
Mr. Leo is quite challenging.
Get you,
I
Reverend.
cannot do it alone. No, but there is this thing that I really want us to squash completely, that the enemy of a woman is a fellow woman. It has entered into the very fabrics of our existence, such that, like I quoted before, you see a fellow woman wants to put an effort. I want to be like this. I want to be, they start with, I want to be the president of the women's wing. Hey, you know, Fito. They will even quote other situations, negative ones at that, so that it fits snugly into your shoe and tell you that no, it will not work, to kill your zeal. So it's really disheartening, honestly, because if you look at the population of women, we are more in every sphere of life, but we just need a shove and then a push to get there. I still stand for the fact that women can do it, but it's just unfortunate that we think that we cannot do it because we look low on our fellow women, and then the women who can do it themselves, sometimes they have low self-esteem. The confidence is not there, except when they are really encouraged. Even when they are encouraged, they get to the verge and then they give up. We need to deconstruct this gender fallacies, let me put it like that, and reconstruct ideals that women are equal to the task. And I decry one thing that I said before. Women should not just be entitled that no, we went to Beijing in 1990.
Every day they keep quoting
what a man can do. Behind every successful man, they say no, it's not behind, now it's beside. Yeah. Every day they keep changing those slangs. Every day they keep changing them. Is it just verbally? We must put it into action. There is no need to fight men, because even the Bible says that we are companions, but we can work together for the growth of our nation. Sometimes I want to think that those who feel too entitled are instead rather suffering from a kind of complex, whether inferior or superior. I think that if you are what you're sort, and if you are politically orientated and you have that sound education, you will know that it is easy to stand for any post. If it is deserving of you, you can stand and you can make it. Let nothing deter you. Eleanor Roosevelt says that no one can condescend on you without your permission, which means that sometimes we allow ourselves to be looked low upon because we think that we are not worthy enough. But if you are worthy enough, some of our mothers like Maka, Wala, and others have been there. And I think that if the women, if they have ushered the corridor, I think women too can walk through that hall of fame to become better and not bitter, not sit behind, to be perpetual hand clappers, to cook food, to galvanize, and then tomorrow they will grumble that they are not happy with the choice of candidature. What did you do in your own small corner to make sure that that which has been in place came to fruition through your own efforts? So I think that it's high time women stood up and say no, not to discrimination, but feeling low, feeling that they are not enough, and not just accepting any kind of norms because they have been written out of international standards. But it's not just even about those writings, because they have come from, like I said, ILO, all of these, but taking the bull by the horns, like Bar said, and saying that no, it is time to call grumbling quits and then take the forefront.
Okay, good evening to all of you guys watching us across all 10 regions of Cameroon. I'll take some of the messages. Hello, I'm Fallon watching from Douala. I'm actually enjoying your show. I think there are more youths out there ready for politics, but the fear of death makes them stay away. Good evening. Thank you, Reverend Ma. You're talking my mind. Fallon, you seem to be someone who is also interested in these issues. Can you just write to me after the program so that we can bring you on platforms like this? If you're a woman watching this program and you think that you can express yourself, you can motivate others, and also get into politics and other civil society activities, write to me after the program. And if you can express yourself like Reverend does, we would invite you to do same. But Fallon says that many youths are interested, but they are afraid. Is that also the case of with women, that they are afraid? No, let her come in before.
To be very honest and earnest, Miss Alio, many women are afraid. First of all, I talked about these gender bias issues. You know, like my brother said, we have been streamlined to think that it's a typical patriarchal world where men should always take the lead and precedence. And so when women want to stand, it is like they will be squashed. And the worst of it all is that fellow women are those who also ruin them. Now, I give you just a small example, not necessarily politically. you see, like this widow right laws, let me say rules and regulations. It is a fellow widow, an elderly widow who has gone through that kind of situation, who is the first one to reproach a younger widow. You have not shaved, you are not sitting on the floor, you are supposed to eat only in one plate, you are not following the norms and traditions of our people. They are fellow widows. You will never see a man around that hurt trying to squash or press down that younger widow who is in pains and in trauma because she has just lost a husband. They don't think about how she's going through, but they think that she should and she must follow their customs and traditions. So you discover that even when women want to have the leverage, to have the leeway to pursue, fellow women will squash down their initiatives and their intentions. And then others too, oh, Mamasa, you know, say, if I do so, I go, Mamasa, you know, like, even say, I go for this YCPD, you know, I go so. So some are saying that their husband don't give them the leverage. But I want to believe that if you are married to someone who is dynamic, you need to squash your fear. If you want a deep sense of belonging, you must be able to overwhelm and suppress your fear, because fear will stifle your faith, and when it stifles your faith, you cannot be who you want to be. Women surely are afraid, but they can get over that fear, and from patriarchy we can go to a matrilineal system where women too are ahead. After all, the world is changing, norms are changing in other countries. Why not us?
Okay. Yes. Many young people see politics as a jungle where whatever you do, they may be squashed. Yeah. But we want to change. So how do you change your community without taking that bold step?
I think the solution lies on 3 levels. 1, the church; 2, civil society organization; and 3, conventional educational institutions. Excuse me. In terms of the kind of education training we get from our schools, what kind of civic education do we get from our schools? How what are the structures of the civic education do we get from our schools? Do we just teach our students civic education to know how to sing the anthem, to know how to recite the motto, to know the regions, or are we letting them from primary level to know that at the age of 18 they can become president, at the age of 18 they can become parliamentarian, at the age of 18 they can become mayor, at the age of 18 they can actually take full responsibility? Remember, our system also, like I said before, the 30% blame also goes to the government, because it is only at the age of 21 that you are eligible to actually be called a Cameroonian citizen, to be able to have a national identity card to vote. Voting rights start as 21. So when you look at that 21, before the child start getting that political activism from 21, it gets to 24, 25. Now, but imagine that voting right was at the level of 18 years, which means that at 18 years you are getting to your first polling station to vote. Before you reach 21 years, you must have harnessed a kind of political education and experience that will make you become self-conscious. Meaning that for 3 years, 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years, at least you'll be strong enough to have leadership or youth who can say, okay, I can now represent. So, which means that there is a dire need of a revision of our electoral laws and system, where we need to start we need to start thinking that we need to bring it from 21 to 18, because at 18 you can take full criminal responsibility. At 18 you can be you can defend your country at the level of the military or whichever level, but at 18 you are not fit to choose a leader of who will become a leader in your country. At 18 you are not fit to stand, or at 19 you are not fit to stand, or at 21. Now I'll go back to the church. Our churches, they have the full responsibility. They are the people who call the third side in any conflict. Our churches have the full responsibility to have education of the youth and the women to understand that they play a vital role in leadership at their different and respective community, by helping these persons to see that they can come out from their comfort zone to become the best version of themselves. But rather, we focus only on the spirituality and also the alms given. And now if we look at the spirituality is good, but why don't we go beyond? Look at what is happening currently in the United States of America. Look at the persons that Donald Trump is handpicking.
There's outburst that most of the people that is speaking are youth. And he has maintained that he wants to work with this same set of people. And it is the older generation who are lambasting that his attorney general is a youth that is not supposed that he does not have the experience, and that the person leading the Pentagon, he's at 37 years, that is very young to lead the entire Pentagon. If you look at the series of appointments that has been done, so to me, our churches have a role to play to let our leaders in each of their sermon, whether or occasionally they should call for what is called a seminar, leadership seminar, at least once a month in churches, to let our leaders know that there is a position that we can give equal opportunity for the youth. Because presidents go to church, prime ministers and ministers go to church, those who run vital institutions, they go to church. They're either Catholic, Press, Baptist, or Muslims, or whichever religion. And now our civil society has a big role to play on a political education within the youth. It is only in Cameroon that you will rarely see civil society organizations constantly educate youth and women on responsibility, on leadership role, and they can navigate or breach their fear. You cannot totally eradicate the fear factor. The fear factor instilled in our mothers and our young girls is based on what they think that they cannot do. It's based on the cultural norms. The culture has made the man to understand that his masculinity comes first. And that is why you see when a man gets married, if you do a research, you observe that 60% of men will not want their women to work. And that starts from that possibility, because if a woman who has an ambition and gets married, and the husband tells you that, hey, you woman, that political thing that you are going to stay at home, this one that you want to do, stay at home. So that traditional influence had brought out the masculinity in men, to make men to understand that they can actually clamp down on their women, and their women also are afraid that because they don't know the response or the reaction of their husbands towards what is happening. And that's why we are calling on men that, dear men, if you get married, understand that that woman has a future and a career and a dream. So don't just take their own dream and bury her dream, because what we see in society is that most of the dreams of our young girls who are aspiring to get married, once they get married, they kill their dream. The dream becomes housewife. Now my question is, that girl that was going to school had a dream, wanted to become a governor, had a dream, wanted to become a parliamentarian, but because of our cultural norms that have made us on place of a woman is in the kitchen, has made many women to be afraid to come out to bring out the best version of themselves. Another issue which is playing a fast role on the reason why women are not actively engaged in our political landscape, it will now stem from what we call the traditional lineage. From the traditional lineage, if you come to every community in Africa, we have a system where we believe as Africans, women have a certain lower place and the kingmakers are the men. But if you look at the structure of this contemporary system of democracy or leadership, it gives everybody an opportunity to understand that you can be critical thinkers. So one of the areas that we need to improve on is education from the villages. When we start this political education to make men to understand that when you get married, even in your village, your wife has him. Your wife has a vision. Your wife has an ambition. Help her, push her forward. And that is why, and if you see, there's another scary part where many women to be afraid of, because they think that, hey, if I get married now and I want to become a leader, my husband I will leave. If you look at most women who are in leadership position, they have this conflict of what the husband family is saying. You don't let your woman go do this. They will do this to your woman. They will do this to your woman. They will do this. And now, also the women somehow are to be blamed because they are the enemy sometimes themselves. Reverence, she hates hearing that women are enemies to women. But if we ask reality, Donald Trump, how many women voted Kamala Harris and how many women voted Donald Trump? Trump had 45 or 46% of women's vote. Kamala Harris had close to 43 or so of women's vote. Now imagine that a woman in America says we want Kamala Harris to stand, but do you know that most of the women who voted Donald Trump, they say the reason why they voted Donald Trump is not because Trump is the best, but because they say a woman cannot lead America. Another type, it tells you a lot. When our revert, Madam Kawala stood for election, women could have come a man support her to become leader. But do you know what they tell her? Woman, no me. And also support woman. That was a vote. That mindset is what is the kind of education we need to start eradicating from our civil society, and it doesn't just start within the city. Where you start from, it move from the grassroots and move. I think if you look at also in 2016 in America, more women voted, at least 40-something% of women voted for Trump. Now, imagine 20% of women that Hillary Clinton would have won. So the reason is because women sometimes fear the aggression of women.
Okay, Michael Kebuma says I'm watching from 40. Oh yeah, Manti says I was just watching from Bamenda. Okay, but a new just cut the light. I says I'm watching from Bamenda Station. I'm watching from Balmayo. Akame Frida is watching from Limbe. Elvis Tayong is watching from Iya. Okay. Tata Andrew Amanda, we've just been joined by Edmond Kuate, who is an economist. Earlier announced that he was in traffic. He's in the studio with us. Good evening, Edmond, and we're glad to have you.
Good evening, Leo. Sorry for coming late. You know, I am in the traffic jam actually in the and I didn't realize that from Aquat would be so. I mean, the traffic would be so heavy away, but I had to face realities. But God, I'm here. Okay.
Yeah. First, take when you look at the political and administrative construct of Cameroon, are you worried with the representation that the young and women?
You know, I got a problem the way they pose our society, because saying things this way is as if there is a particular policy developed, you know, put in place, you know, to bar the way to women and young. I want my name to be on the list. How do you do? I mean, I think there's even a law that, you know, push the political parties to put a number of women in their list. At times, it is hard for them to get women that will actually, and if you even push that woman, she will accept, but at the end of the day, she will not be committed. She will not do anything. She will be in the list, she will be voted, but she will not be active. You know, so that is a problem. So I think we get instead to see how we can, you know, encourage our women. You know,
he was talking about political education.
Political education, I agree with him. I think we got to push them to know their real place. I think they have to understand that they got a role to play in our society. Women have a role to play, and they need to be educated to take their role and play their key role in the society. And I mean, same with the young guys. They have to understand that they are not condemned to sit there and watch the old men, you know, all these old people, you know, making the decision upon them, affecting their lives and so on. They have to, you know, to be active. They have to take their role, take their position, and do what they got to do for their own development and for their own well-being. I think that is how we have to pose a problem.
Yeah, but some persons have written that the youth most often are afraid to engage in politics for fear of death. But somebody say they also are afraid of sex. I was going to ask you, you are into politics for so long now. Have you been introduced into any sect, or it's just a myth?
Yeah, I think into politics, it is true. The sects, it does occur, but not very rampant as people say. The sects occur mostly on those who are at the high profile level. It's a reality, but it doesn't mean that everybody can be in it. Even if they are the high level, because everybody has what they call self-value. And that is why, if you look like in the music world, they will tell you that some people refused to attend to what PDT wanted, and so they did not shine as stars, and they stayed okay, and their dignity was kept. But those who had to be attending PDT's party, well, fell in for the homosexuality and whatever, and they are stars today, making millions and all like. So it's a matter of choice.
And there are some who are stars who did not adhere.
Yes, who did not adhere to that. There really are many who are stars who did not adhere to that. So it's a matter of choice. The devil gives you the choices. If you decide the one that is okay by you, all right, you go for it. If you want to work hard and get a blessing from God, all right, the blessings flow as from God. But one thing is for sure, the one that flows from God stays longer without any condition, as opposed to the one that comes from the devil. So with the aspect, I think, if anybody will sit, like they say politics is a dirty game, that was the usual old adage we had. And that even sent many men have got even away from even thinking of the politics, whereas all of us are political beings. It's until we now realize that the same politics we have out is also even within the church milieu that we start realizing, man by nature is a political being. And so in this case, you realize that the issues of course, as I said, cannot be kept aside. It's for sure. I have been in politics for a longer time, but I think probably maybe because of my crude methods of attacking things that are wrong, it will tell you that even an occultist man will not even just dream to come, because the way I will take to rebuke you, it will be news, and so you don't even want to get to that news. So you don't even want to even propose the list. So it's obvious that people who will want to have that ideology that hey, in politics, one is a dirty game, you cannot be there if you don't soil your hands to climb. No, those are all called fallacies, and we have many persons who climb, and I think we are climbing and will climb and get to those positions without passing through those dubious ways. We'll get things official as per se. And that's the reason why in politics, the man who climbs in an honorary manner, you get his work and the impact back to the grassroots clean and clear. But for those who get in through other means, when you see it, they don't reflect what you were dreaming. And that's why some of them become arrogant, some of them become lies tellers of the first order. Then you are coming to meet a mayor and he tells you he's not in when he's in. You hear him talking from the secretariat, and then the secretary, he just takes a secretary. The secretary says, no, Lomene Pala. And you're hearing him talking. I mean, so these are the kind of people that you discover that they came in through the means that only the devil can explain. And that's why they begin to serve the devil by lying in the first place. And when you look at all of this, we keep telling people that the political part of it, for example, is what you can get to it with clean hands. It's very possible. I have told God I will maintain clean hands, and I know that God will take me to the higher height in clean hands. You don't tell me rubbish in the political, that is not what I think, and I will adhere to it. Better I don't become a mayor, better I don't become a parliamentarian, better I stay who am I and serve God with joy without any fear or favor. So generally with the issues of youth and all the like, I think what we're saying here is an eye-opener, because youths and women have refused categorically to play the role. It is true. The policy itself matters. We keep saying all of this. The level at which I was trained as a youth, where I was, when I was in another political party, they will only tell me, okay, you stop at this level. They want to climb. I said, no, you are too young. You cannot climb now. This time, no. But I think when I went to where I am now, it's just if you have what it takes to deliver, you deliver. And that's why I got into the National Bureau, and I'm moving ahead. So it's a matter of policy. Whosoever heads a particular institution, you have director generals who think that you should be appointed as chief of bureaus, director generals, and they appoint them and they deliver the results. So it's a matter of policy and a matter of the willpower for those who want to be. As I said, the issue of somebody refusing to be, that you find a young man. Take a look. When the director of the hospital in Boya was put in place, people realized the results that was recorded, because he was one of the youngest so far director. 30-something years to be a director of a regional hospital in Boya, you know. And what was very peculiar, even when I made him Grand Frère, Asalo Grand Frère, you see that humility. But what happens? He was delivering the goods, a square peg in a square hole. So if some of these youths could deliver in the fields of influence where they have been placed to control, it means that any woman, any man, anywhere can deliver the good. So the message here is simple. If you want to sleep, the old men who will sit in assemblies and meetings will be sleeping while you are clapping for them. You keep clapping for them and keep carrying their backs. But if all of you get them from sleep, because this is the time, I say even in the church, I'll come back even in the church. Even in the church, the youths and the women must take their responsibility. See, the level rally is next week. It's next week. It's going to be another showcase, and you see the way women they play, the talent they exhibit, the games they play, football and all the like. You say, but these women can also be leaders. That's why my next challenge that I will take to Reverend Buki hands, not only as my tribesman, but now as an objective Presbyterian, will be that the committee concerned with those elections should adjust the constitution of the PCC such that it should give a leeway for women. My prayer will be that I should see a woman, not senior clerk, I say moderator, but they can start as senior clerk, I don't have any problem. it's a beginning, but we should see one day I see that here a woman moderator, I think I'll be happy.
Okay, you're going to be happy. How do we change this paradigm where a woman sits and thinks that they should be governors, they should be the divisional officers, they should be SDOs, and president, and fully mobilize other women to get them to where they want to?
The question is not clear.
No, I said, what do we do to get this achieved?
Okay, okay. As at now, I know that there are a few women in positions of government, yes, and we can do much more. We can galvanize. So I just sometimes, like I used to say, I just plead that women can just deconstruct the whole mentality of it's about men. We should just go there and clap for them and feed them, and then we usher them to higher heights, and then we sit behind and grumble. We can work as a team. We can start, as my brother said before, at the preliminary level, at grassroots. When they are teaching even civics, and they continue to give only male names as president, as prime minister, and so on and so forth, it should ring a bell when we can start educating children that even women can also become powerful and can assert themselves when it comes to the realm of politics. I think it will go a long way. And from the school, I think that even back at home, you discover that sometimes the father will prefer to push and shove his boy child to study more, and when they are not really vibrant when it comes to education, you cannot be like your sister. You see, there's a kind of, they pit them, which is wrong. If your girl child is vibrant and pushful, I think that as a parent, you should be able to also push your child to become what she wants to be, since we are really underlining women. I come back to our community in general before I go to the church and then to other institutions in question. I think that even around us as these children are growing, some even used to act dramas and say that when I want to be older, I want to become a president, I want to become this. As a teacher, promote the ideals of that young woman. Make them believe in themselves. Know that the highest form of self-esteem is imparted by your teacher, not even by your friends. Friends will rather pressurize you in doing what you don't want to do. But your teacher will always, I really used to plead on teachers, don't just step into the class and start to teach the subject for the day. Sometimes talk to these children and make them know that they are worth much more. Even the slower learners, because there is no one who is a tabula rasa. Don't start the class. And I've seen a situation where a teacher concentrates on those who are more intelligent, let me not say more intelligent, those who are faster learners, and then forget about those who are slow learners, and ask them that, okay, when you go back, you do these assignments, and then they focus here. It's wrong. When we do like that, we already discriminate. Then not to talk of a girl child. It is wrong. From the school, I want to come now to the church. As brother said, I really admire his ideals, and I think that as a pastor is a very good thing. Not that we want to teach politics in church, but if we can have leadership courses, we start from the youths, because like in the Presbyterian church, you have the Sunday school is well strategized. You have the YP, that's the Young Presbyterians, you have the CYF, which is the Christian Youth Movement, then you have the CMF, and then, of course, the CWF. So if we can start imparting ideals of leadership at a young age, even through small sketches. I've always noted that this is Christmas, when they want to act the part of King David, for instance, or the young man who asked that the king who asked that Jesus should be slain, it's always a male. And at the end of the day, women are always standing behind to fan him. They dress him, they would dress a young child, even put a mustache. The child will want to remove a baritone so that the voice should be very deep. And the women are behind making younger children too. And they are fanning him on that throne. Now, why can't we also disguise girls and put them to sit there so that they can believe that they too can be something? They can be chiefs, they can be kings. I know it's an abomination, but it's something that is worth thinking about. Yes. 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 It's something that is worth thinking about. Now, as they grow up, even the themes in their songs is always about Congosa, things that are not worth the trouble. Project women. Now, like CWF, they are going for rally. When you want to hear their song, your own Afowaka goes, they will sing and ululate and all of that. If they could like also project the fact in their singing that women can be leaders, women can make it, and draw placards to prove the worth of a woman, I think it will go a long way to create substance in the substance that God has already imparted in women. Stepping out of the church, I go to all our different wings, the women wings of our different political parties. If you want to see a woman, she finally takes the position of a deputy mayor. She takes
food vice president.
Exactly. A food processor, cooking to chair the party, organizing, doing the decor, so that the park come to them can come and sit now and take deliberations.
No, why are you calling names here?
No, I'm just I know I'm just kind of pulling his legs, but he understands. No hard feelings, right? Yes. So if we cannot just also say that, okay, let us hire experienced people who can do the decoration and project our mothers. There should be no W in our parties. There should be no, there can be a Y because youths are one. But I deny vehemently the W. There should be no women's wing. Yes, because youths, in youths you don't differentiate between a male or a female or a transgender. For those who believe in that.
I don't believe in that.
Yes, I don't. I say for those who believe it's a liberal world. Yep. Now, my humble suggestion is that, you are in a party. Now, if we can say that, let's melt W, because that W already, women something, is already creating a barrier. Let's look at everybody as one in our party. We can instead put committees.
And that's how we should also submerge CWF, so that we just have a CYF. That has boy and a girl too there inside.
That one now you want to take me off my rails.
All right, sorry.
Don't derail me. I'm talking about political parties. Okay. I'm not talking about in terms of the church. Can you tie a rapper as a man? No. I'm talking Sanja. Yes, Sanja, but you are not a Bakwera and you are Bameta.
Yes, but I don't take Southwest culture of
which is not bad though.
All right, thank you.
Let me learn. So my humble suggestion is that when it comes to our parties, we can take out those W's and just submerge everyone in a common pot of love and say that, okay, we would rather create committees. Okay. In the committees, there should be a balance in gender. If it is committee for communication, there should be a balance in gender. If it's committee for harnessing party ideas, there should be a balance in gender. If we start to extricate these things, I think our parties will go a long way, and then it will give the women that push, then the push to come to the limelight.
Okay, it's going to give the women the push to come to the limelight. We move straight to our second topic for tonight, which has to do with substance consumption among youths, a reason for or a growing concern for the future. When we look at the rate at which we consume substance in Cameroon, look at secondary schools, things are not going so well, and if you were to move around Douala, Yaoundé, those who are deep into consumption are young people. What's happening, Mr. Edmond? Is it the fact that we are becoming the more rich today?
No.
Yeah, because to consume.
I don't know what is wrong. I don't know what's gone wrong.
Okay.
No, yeah, myself, I'm asking myself a question. It's a very sad. And my problem is, I mean, you will find these substances even in schools. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is no social place where you will not be able to find this type of things. Mm-hmm. I remember when when we were younger guys and then going to school, you will hear about name of these things, but if they tell you to show it and you to point it off and say this is it, it looks like this, you will never be able to do that, because it was something, for a kind of a particular class of people will be able to take it. But today, even in primary school, if you go and search very well, you might find this type of substances, you know, in the bags of our students. You go all over, you go into secondary school, university, I don't even want to mention that. And then in our, the daily, you know, it is something I really, I maybe it's because of nowadays climate, environment. I don't know what is wrong. I can't really explain what is wrong. Why? Or is it because parents do not longer have much authority on their children? Or is it because the society has really, I don't know, I can't really explain.
Yeah, but how would you describe the situation today?
It's very bad.
Terrible.
And that's what it's terrible, and that's why violence is increasing the more. Today you will hear that a student kill the teacher. You hear that student kill his classmate easily. This is things that we're not used to, you know, in our days. We are not used to this type of things. And I don't know, I don't even know how you will look your teacher, you know, face, eye, you know, into his eyes. I'm not talking of, you know, I don't know. These are things that we didn't have that before. But today the situation is terrible. I don't know, maybe parents are not longer, you know, they do not longer have enough control on their children. Maybe it's because of their precarity too. Maybe the situation, the economic situation too, can also explain, because when parents cannot really take care of their children very well, they cannot feed them very well, then I think they lose authority upon them, and then there's no more control, and then the children, they go out there and then find some friends, and then they flock with some friends, and then they lead them into any type of things, in type of, you know, activities, and at the end of the day we have all what we are having today.
You are working with a university. What is the prevalence of what we are talking about today among students?
It's very, very terrible, and also it has drastically increased. We are also fighting very hard to see that this prevalence reduce. The challenge we have is that the government is not enforcing its laws about the distance of beer parlor towards an educational institution. If we move down to most of our educational institutions, bars are instead coming closer to the schools rather than being further away from the schools. And you know, these are what we call a catalyst to some of the things that students are taking. Beside my school, there is a secondary school there, and a situation happened. There is a bar beside, that's directly opposite that secondary school, not up to 5 meters, just face me, I face you, a bar. I will not call the name of the school for the sake of stigmatization. I went to eat in that bar around 12. I met students, secondary school students, with uniforms, drinking. God have it that, yes, beer. God have it that one of their lecturers came in, the discipline master came in and scolded at these children. Then why are you drinking beer even with school uniform? The answer they gave him was, Monsieur, est-ce qu'on est en classe or est-ce qu'on est à l'école? That was the answer they gave him. So the man immediately asked the woman senator, why will you sell beer to these students with uniform, not even the fact that they were assaulted? So when they were talking there, I took my time. When the teacher argued with them and one of them left, the others refused to go, I asked them, I said, mon frère, vous dois un peu excuser mon français, mais ce que vous faites, ce n'est pas bon. They said, c'est notre l'argent. I said, mais even if it's your money, tu penses que ton père peut venir te voir comme ça là, il doit te faire plaisir. Il said, non, mais si tu fais ce que tu fais là-bas et aller chez toi. And that was it. And the same thing we are having that issue, because to control university students, you will see a university child will leave a class, goes to where the bar is, and want to sit there and start drinking. So we are fighting hard. And the same situation you are seeing in all of our universities. Go towards University of Douala. Look at the environment. And that's why in our university we have made it clear that no beer is sold at the canteen. The canteen have no beer at all. Whether it's for faculty, it's not for faculty, no beer. Because
At that level, when the students see it, they can actually know how much the price will be. So the fact that we say no beer, and this is what also we encourage teachers and institutions to do, they should actually do occasional search. And believe me that some of these universities, students go in with beer in their bag, Heineken in their bag, and whiskey in their bag. When it is break or when they are free time, you go to one corner in one campus, you see them sitting there drinking. So when these search are done occasionally, because there are clauses in all universities, before you enter the university, they tell you that you will not be permitted to drink or smoke within the campus, and you sign. And now, because these search are not done actively per schools and universities, it is making these students who have that comfort. Believe me, the day the government will do occasional search, as they are doing now with secondary schools, occasional search in universities, that you go to an amphi, it is the right of the institution to search the bags. They are searching bird for those sachet whiskey, and they will discover a lot. I'm telling you that students leave and go with small Heineken. I've seen situations where you see students with Heineken. Where are people coming from with this? We bought it. You bought it how? You're entering the school with Heineken. How? Is it this an educational institution? I believe that the government at that level has a responsibility. Another responsibility now stems from the teachers, because sometimes teachers themselves also are promoting it. You see, a lecturer will enter a class, instead to teach, that lecturer will spend 1 hour socializing, talking about how he was there, he's traveled here, he's drinking this and that and that and that and that. So it brings
leave the class and go and smoke.
Good. It leaves. So it gives you. It is. We need to. The teachers also need to become responsible, and above all, the parents. I know that parents have abandoned their children to universities and to high schools to teachers. They just bring sepuvulaba. They go. Parents have the inherent responsibility to monitor their children and have a personal relationship with their children, because the school is not a treatment center. The school is an area where they help you parents from what you have given to your children is garbage in and garbage out. So when you start streamlining or reducing some of these things that these children are doing, you guide them and you counsel them. When they come to school, it's easy. Can you imagine that a secondary school child would tell the discipline master that monsieur, ce n'est pas ton l'argent et tu n'as pas aucun droit de nous parler ici opposite the school? How many meters? Just 5 meters within the school premise. And what does the law state? The law gives you 30 or how many meters away that you should sell beer? 500. You see, but these are not respected.
Half a kilometer.
Half a kilometer.
Yeah, Fah Elvis Tayong, that is substance use among young people, very alarming. What is the problem?
That problem like that comes from the kangaroo system. They should hear and hear very well. Yaoundé, listen very well.
Now you want Yaoundé to go into your homes to take care of your kids?
Mr. Kum, I'm coming. They should hear. This is, I'm telling them the gospel truth now. And they should hear very well. The kangaroo mechanism put in place is a cause for all what we are cracking our heads here for no good reason. The man who is growing marijuana in the West region is not a youth, is a man. And the marijuana is not being grown in space. It's cultivated in an area geographically located, because sometimes you have hectares of land where it is cultivated. They are not youth cultivating those marijuanas. It is a network business. And when they are carrying it from where it has been cultivated, the drying process is not done by youth. The drying process is done by adults. And these adults have a chain of movement, well calculated, that accomplices within the systems take part in it, because you will not tell me that you will be able to carry 12 bags of marijuana from Fumbot and you're getting Douala. And before they catch you one time, you have been doing the business for years. Let me ask you people here, how many of those persons arrested and shown on TV, you have gotten further interrogation that shows that the dozens of the network of people who buy them and the sources have been arrested and further interrogated for people to understand? Most of the time you only hear they have been arrested. The next time you don't hear any other thing again. And in the drug business, just like Escobar was doing in Colombia, they have what they call reserve budgets to give to the powers that be each time they are arrested. It's like a professional dealer and a 419er. he has what we call liquidity preference for emergency.
Yeah.
The moment you're arresting him today, he's calling a state council. Please, that boy don't come here. We'll do how? Okay, at the same moment, they can't give you 10 million. No, so. I say any black market has money. That's how the devil functions. And they will not tell me that they cannot stop these issues day in, day out. The issues of digging up of bones to produce tie. The main buyers are not youths. I mean, the main buyers, the multi-millionaires in the businesses, it's the retailers, the consumers who are youths. The gurus who buy these bones, crush them, and put into powder form to carry on in the real market are not youths. They are grown-ups. And how do they carry out those businesses? It is a network. How do they bypass all these areas until they get to where they are? It means something is wrong. How do you explain that dozens of tramadol will leave from other beaches around and other boundaries, and they get in and they are in Douala in major towns in their numbers? So it means that somebody somewhere is an accomplice to this crime. That's the bitter truth about it. When I tell people that even the checkpoints on the road are accomplices, people say I'm of a brain grammar. You will not tell me. I've said when you go to when you go to Miondo Bar, once on the road you have about 10 mixed police and once a 10 police and down, and you don't see them carrying out checks as per se. You don't see them coming down, get opening, taking a look at the luggages. No. The camera system in Yaoundé is still an accomplice. When you go to US of A, it is true, drugs leave Colombia, Mexico, and gets into America. But before it gets in, the American government has also put in place countermeasures, including modern technology to counter drugs. That's why at the border, most of the times, they will stop a car. It's not carrying anything, but they are putting it in tires. They are putting it in the bonnet. And you see the officials with the detector machine go directly and tell you that they're extracting cocaine from the bonnet, cocaine sewn in the chairs where people sit. You will not get Cameroon police and Janam doing that. Each time you hear that drug intercepted, it is because the people did not comply or there was a leakage of information from where it left. But if not, things will be moving as usual. And at the end of it, we who are with the youth in the quarters, we bear the bunch of the whole trouble.
Some others called me from Kumba today. They are weeping that they have created an association against. They say their children.
Yes.
Their children are spoiled.
Yes, I know about that story. They went to Fiango, even that massive at the Joe's office. That their children have all gone rampage.
Really?
And each time they go, the Joe would only come there. Don't worry, we're every measure.
They say they want to.
And the worst of it, Mr.
They say
Kum,
they want to meet the government.
where they smoke. You know about the story, Mr. Kum, of the guy who was arrested at Old Town. You heard his outing. Because it's bad that a man who's supposed to prevent the drug is part of the consumer. It's bad. And that guy said it clearly that when he saw the police people coming, they did not bother running. Because when they come, they usually comply with them as usual. But the surprise, when this team came, the team did not want to hear any aspect of complying. And that's how they were taken. Okay. And so if you yourself, uniform person, can be involved in that dirty business, you too are smoking. It means the whole system is kangaroo.
Okay, let's take a look at this video that is making rounds on social media, and then we discuss after. Eli, is the video not ready? I want us to take a look at this video. Okay, seemingly there is a problem with it. He's faulting the government for not looking at ways to combat excessive drug use, but also the circulation amongst communities. Are the parents themselves doing better? You have worked extensively with secondary schools. Are things better at that level?
Well, Mr. Leo, typically it's not the best, but it's better. But when you look at the prevalence rate in the universities, from my small research, you discover that in the university you have about 67.2 out of every student. The percentage of those who are dealing with hard drugs are 67.2. Amongst that, 80% of them are so much inclined into alcohol and 46% cannabis, what we locally call banga, and 5.3% are involved with ecstasy. Now, sometimes we may insist that the parents are to be blamed. You are a poor parent and you have done your possible best that your child should be educated. Your child should have the ideals and precepts and principles that you did not have the opportunity to have. And the child goes to school and is pressured by friends. So I want to attribute this first to peer pressure. When these children are in school and they want to prove themselves that they are bigger, they are bolder, they are better, if they don't follow their friends will say that they are not assertive and they don't have all these qualities. Exactly. Now, apart from peer pressure, most of these youths and young adults, they have access to gadgets where they will watch movies where people will smoke and get high and go and break into banks and other crime infested situations, and they too will feel that if they can take it, they can speak anyhow to the surveillant general, that is the disciplinary master. They can tell them off, they can even slap, like in PSS where I was for 5 years. You see a child, when the disciplinary master is talking, he's looking at the disciplinary master in the eyes and then give you a snake and then they give you a slap. And if you touch that child now, the parents will come and start to make noise that you have beaten my child. What has given that child the courage, the Dutch courage to do that? Is drug intake. And also, when you want to look among students, it's not just because of their gadgets and influence of social media. Sometimes they feel that the challenges in the society, their homes, what they will be in future, pushes them to the wall of frustration, and then they get to the point where they think that this is just a leverage to take them to a next room where they will feel better. But the unfortunate situation is that as soon as you come down from that high horse of drug intake, you will discover that you will still remain the same, and the problem will even get worse. And since most youths are very active, they want to become hyperactive more than they are, and they want to take this drug. So I will not really attribute that parents are at fault. Parents become at fault when they discover it and then they decide to close their eyes and do nothing. Or when teachers report to them, like some will come, I know my son cannot do that. My son, where will my son take weed? My son, I've never seen him. But do you sit like this? We are talking about random checks, bro. Do parents sit like this and even check the rooms of their young adults? Do they sit, where is this shirt coming from? Where is this shoe coming from? Where is this gadget coming from? I can't afford this, but they take it for granted that their children want to be trendy. And when they don't do these routine checks, even though the children will hate them for wanting to hurt their ego, it is very important for parents not to close their eyes. They should do not routine checks that the children don't even know, and wait for them to go out, but don't scatter their things. Check those areas where you think that they can hide something that can wreak havoc on their mental health. So it's very important that parents should work, teachers should work, all the stakeholders should work.
Okay, let's take a look at this very short video.
Oh boy, see what for NSC for one night, boy, for one spot, for one vendor is spot, what of NSC, boy, only one side is so, the other side give 500 bottle. Oh boy, see what for NSC for one night, boy, for one spot, for one vendor is spot, what of NSC, boy, only one side is so, the other side give 500 bottle.
Take this type of things, they easily get it.
Okay.
That's why you get a lot of illegal activities going on, and you get a lot of crimes. The crimes are increasing. You see our young people getting involved in a lot of kind of dirty activities out there. They are scammers. you have a lot of I mean, activities that are developing. Some people will be very proud to call themselves scammers. You know, they will
and they're celebrated.
they will
Actually
they
celebrated.
will giving you their records. They will say, "Oh no, this is what I've done. I've succeeded in grabbing 500 millions and things like that." And this is where this type of money end. You know, in bars and all these type of things. And I think the other problem too is a lot of influence coming from foreign cultures. The way they have democratized the what do you call I mean, people can easily see what is happening in the other
US?
countries, in US. And then these movies too, they are seeing is easy. She said, she was mentioning they will see how it is very easy to take these type of things and then get into a bank and then come out with a lot of money. It's very easy. When you see that in the movie, it is very, it's very easy. You think after taking these type of things, and then the way they present them in movies, they are not like rascals. They are not,
They are cool.
Yeah, they are cool.
Yes,
when you see it in the movie, they are very cool. And then you think you will go and do the same thing, carry guns, put guns on you, and then plan something, and then you go and act. You come out with a lot of money, and then you become a very tough guy in the society. People respect you. You buy brand new cars. You have a good house, and then you can do whatever you want to do with money. I think that's the influence of foreign cultures that we are importing a lot. We don't control anything. You will see today, at the age of 15, children will have access to phone, go to Facebook, go to social medias, and then being able to see a lot of things, a lot of every type of things. They get access to all type of information, videos, and things like that. I think that's where the problem comes from too, because in our days, like I was saying, we only had our CRTV. That is the only thing. I mean, and the CRTV, the best you could see was this type of movies, Louis de Finesse and things like that, where Michael Knight. That's the highest. That is the highest you can see. That's the best you can guess from CRTV. But today, when you see the top, nothing. In the age of 15, children are, in Netflix, and they are seeing all type of things with very tough languages. I think all these type of influences are changing, are modifying the behavior of our young people out there, and then they get easily involved in all type of activities without any control. Today, there was a song, I don't know, still from our young guys, where they will be naming all these substances: cure, Caillou, Thai.
There is one song, you make me wanna smoke cannabis, and they are there.
Things like that.
They are celebrating.
And then they are singing freely in the society, and nobody, even the Minister of Culture, is not saying, what is happening? What are you guys singing?
I said the kangaroo system has failed.
I want us. We have just 15 more minutes to go. I want us to look more on control mechanisms. What should we do? Do we allow our schools to be invaded by bars?
No, definitely no. I think we got to apply the law.
That's why I want to align myself with Senior Kuate there, because we need to look at our social media space. Nations are regulating their social media space. If you go to China, there are some sites you cannot enter.
Never.
There are some, TikTok is not even in China. There is a Chinese production. And there are some nations that even have TikTok. They regulate the kind of content that are on social media. The question is, our lawmakers, are they conscious of the fact that there come a time where we need to invite these social media giants and prompt them and let them understand what we want as a culture within our social media space? Because it is a great call for concern, and on several occasions I've raised this. I see other nations calling TikTok, calling Facebook. Kenya recently had a Facebook called Facebook officials. They came and they had a meeting with the president. The president said, our Facebook space is inundated. This is what we want you to do, and this is what we want as consumption. Because every nation has what is called a database or a server. Let me use that word, server. And within that server, you can easily regulate. That's why
in Cameroon, when you are registering for TikTok or Facebook, you have to put your Cameroon number. They will send you a code, because it means there is a server around your country that generates that code from your number. And so we can actually use some certain IPs and algorithms that can block some of this explicit content in such a way that our youth now can be able to watch what can be moderately acceptable. Yes, there are some rare exceptions that you can always access, but we reduce the rate. So I think our MPs, Fah, who is campaigning, I'm sure when he has opportunities, we should start looking at how to call these social media giants to look at a common culture in our social media space. There is a danger that is coming, which is called artificial intelligence. I see other nations are taking steps towards artificial intelligence, because with the rate of artificial intelligence now, I can just take Fah's picture and generate a video and do lip syncing and get just a voice of him and do a write-up, and that same voice I generate multiple words and blend it, and it's happened that it's Fah that's talking. And how do we start regulating this? How do we start? There are laws, nations are putting laws now to regulate some of those things. But I think that we have to we have to be proactive than reactive. Another issue is that our schools need to work in collaboration with parents. I remember in those days, the Parents-Teacher Association was firm, was strong, in such a way that they actually were discussing issues that really need to deal with the upbringing of their children. But how many schools these days have Parents-Teacher Association or PTA that discuss a call on children upbringing and the persistent rate of violence in our schools? Is it the government school? Our PTA center on generating money, only money building. But the PTA in those days was strong in such a way that if you see your mother coming for PTA, sometimes you are afraid to even invite your mother to come attend for PTA, because you know when your mother comes there, she will say you. That's why sometimes they will give us invitation that go and give your mother. If you don't see your mother, they'll punish you, because they know that as a child you will be so afraid to invite your mother, because you know when your mother comes to that PTA, your mother will say you and they will deal with you. But how is it running now? It is a different ball game. Even in universities, occasionally, what other universities are doing, which we are doing, is that we ensure that parents should be in a general, they should have a portal, parents portal. How many universities have a parents portal where the student affair, because the role of every student affair of university is to be a bridge between the parents and the student or the guardian, such a way that if something is not going, they quickly relate. And that's why in all universities, when you enter, you give the guarant of first emergency contact and sponsor, so that if something is happening, they get your emergency contact. This enables the parents to quickly do a quick finding. Do you know many students go to school, leave their house, that they are going to school, they end up not attending a class? What is the dean of studies, what is a student affairs doing to get attendance per week for a course, to realize how many times this child has absent from this course to raise alarm? I think we can build that system. Even if you have 10,000 or 20,000 students, it can be done, because you have each course have course delegate, they have department, you can easily track this. Like in JMC, University of Boya, day one you start writing your matricle number till the day you leave the university. And because that system was done in a way that the day you absent, it becomes a trouble. So when we have a system where a child absent 1, 2, 3 and the parent is called, we have had that system in a university where we realize that a child has not come to school 3 times. We call the parent, and that parent came to school and was crying that this boy leaves the house every day. I give money to this boy, that the boy is coming to school and the child is not coming to school. There was another incident, a child did a malpractice, that child was caught. We asked that child to bring the parents. That child went to the street and brought one of his friends as the family member. During interrogation, we realized that it was his friend, and we called the police. We realized it was his friend, and now the parents came the next day. They did not even know that was a problem the child was experiencing. Okay. So to me, schools are supposed to create a system whereby this contact enables the parents to quickly troubleshoot.
Yes, that is the case of students, but we know that all the consumers are not necessarily students. How do you engage control mechanism across the board, even beyond students?
Well, if I told the kangaroo system would listen to it, let's just waste the energy.
No, but you're hoping to take government.
No, yes, I'm hoping. That's why I said that I wanted to say so at the beginning, but it's like they cannot do it. So let me just explain it. So that's what we will do, because for them, they are already tired and expired. As a matter of fact, the control mechanisms has to do with, one, putting in place stringent laws that are incriminating and ensuring that they are implemented to the latter. we have a good constitution. When it comes to implementation, zero. Two, when these systems are put in place, the next thing has to do with a monitoring mechanisms to check these drugs that are consumed at home and also those that come from our borders. Which means that another law is supposed to be stepped up to be that those who are supposed to prevent that from entering, if they are caught in it, they have tripled that sentence that is supposed to come for the person who is concerned. It means that if you put this measure in place, custom officers who are accomplices know that the moment you catch marijuana in Douala, all those who are in the checkpoint from where it left in the West region to here, because they have, security have a database. They can tell you who was placed on the road in Magba, in this place, at this particular time. They have that calendar. It means that you go there and call all those who are in duty, including what they call routine or the like, right up to where the thing is said to be coming from. Bundle them in a military truck to here where the thing was caught here in Douala, take them to the military tribunal. 1 o'clock, they are put on trial. By 1:30, they all get 25-year sentence. Once you do that, I tell you that a security man will climb a bus and bring down bags to check things. The other monitoring mechanism is that you put in place the technology that it will ease that particular job. Detectors, detecting machines, such that you now at any control post, you have a detecting machine. That when you come there, you can drive a car through, there's an alarm that will tell the car whether it has some substances or not. And veterinary officers or those from the Ministry of Nature Protection are also there, so that they help to check. Now, when you put these mechanisms, you help to make things easier. And at the same time, you respect the laws that has to do with banning corruption. Come to Boya, for example. Any police officer who is on control in Boya, Bamenda, is happy when he sees a scammer coming. I don't know what that thing is called, because they have a particular way of dressing and a particular way of their looks. Tattoos are here, dreadlocks are here. I kept asking, if I'm one of these guys, is there no way I can dress as I am now to these guys? No. But it looks like all of them have those conditions. And so, when you put in a law that bans officers from conniving with them, I will tell you in Boya that once, and sometimes even the bank officials connive with the uniform officers. This young man, age 22, is coming to collect 20 million or 50 million. And then sometimes the bank official, because the whole network, calls the police in question. By the time they are getting the money set to deliver to the young man, the officer arrives. Now the young man has to beg. While he's begging, out of the 50 million, there on the spot, he'll be losing about 25 million. Now he collects 25 million, which means the bank manager and the police, they are already accomplices already. And at the end of it, they share the 25 million with ease. Now, for the cars that are there, I'm talking about fighting corruption, is the mechanism we're putting in place on these crimes. The crime and the punishment should be heavier. Because in Boya and Bamenda now, when those uniform officers are on control, they are solved, and their specialty is to stop all of those kind of cars. And once they stop, the guys don't waste 1 minute to negotiate. And so a police officer knows that by the time he's stopping 4 cars of scammers, his day is already better off than the 500 francs will be collecting. For how many cars will he be collecting? 500. That's why you see, when they are at Malingo checking, after 10 minutes they leave. The next time they are at UB Junction. After 20 minutes they leave. They're at my 17. It means they themselves are accomplices to these drugs. Because these scammers, most of them are into drugs. And that is why some of them, you hear they sacrifice girls. When you hear girl child missing, it's not missing because the girl child is missing. They can go on social media, they write these girls, invite them on Facebook, send them transport. You are in Bamenda, you are coming to Boya. A scammer is sending you 100,000 francs. You say, "Child, I don't hammer." And then you come, you want to tell your friends. You say, "When you're coming, don't tell anybody. I just want to treat you good. You'll be at Semi Beach, or you'll be at any place." And when you come here, so these things like that, you check, you stop the corruption at the base. Okay. And once you have a monitoring mechanism, if 3-4 gendarmes are given 20 years imprisonment for conniving with a scammer or conniving with a drug lord, I tell you that the moment you are telling him to take 50 million, he will tell you that it's a setup. You will not even want to take. Because all these guys that are arrested day in, day out, go to prisons. Out of 10 of them, who are arrested with cannabis and all the like, only about 4 are there. The rest find their way out back and continue the same business. Therefore, corruption practices is along the line. If a uniform officer, a routier or whatever is not slammed, jail them on the spot, you don't, those you don't adjourn them. As you hold them on the spot, the next day court case, the next day sentence. Okay. My middle prime is there to monitor the sentence live. Okay. People will shun from those crimes. Yes, and drug will reduce.
What else can parents do?
Sometimes when there are so many direct cases out there, when it has gone rough, I want to plead that they should not just feel that everything has come to a standstill. I crave the attention of the government that more rehabilitation centers should be opened so that these children should be rehabilitated. And even they themselves, when they are going through that process, many of them take their medications and throw them. It's like they are happy to be in that state. They need to take their medication, and promise to have a good and healthy lifestyle. Parents need to take action and collaborate with teachers and other stakeholders so that their children will continue to stand the test of time. Parents too should discipline their children. They should not just say that it's because it's my lone boy or lone child, let me close my eyes, things will get better. They should put sanctions and disciplinary measures on the children, because if they don't do so, the Bible says that train the child the way the child should go, lest the child departs from it. Also, parents must adhere to the norms of our society. They should know that times are changing and things are changing, and once they see that these risky behaviors are inherent in their children, they should start to take drastic measure. Now so the pikin they are no fit kill my skin. If you can't take drastic measures because now so the pikin they, then you are planning to fail. And finally, I want to plead with parents that it is not easy, but it is not impossible. Seek God's face, cry to God, but don't cry to him without ample action, because faith without action is dead.
Okay.
Reverend, just to briefly to what you have just said, just to add, most parents these days prefer to become besties of their children than actually take their full responsibility. Parents should understand that their children are not their friend, and they should take their full responsibility, because it's their bestie nature that is making children to go here. No, it's Friday, it's a fragile child. Even at the level of universities,
they are going up, they are doing what the whites are doing, pampering their children. They can bash the back in the door on them, and they will knock at it and talk and want to negotiate. There is no negotiation.
Okay. We are out of time here. Just 2 minutes.
No, I just wanted to agree with what she's saying. You know, we import a lot of things. Everybody wants to live like white men. Everybody wants to live according to what we've seen in the how we see white people educating their children in television. I think we got to stop that. We have to go back to our culture. We have a culture.
In our own generation, we became stronger today because our parents were strict. By 6 o'clock, if you were not at home, they give you snake beating.
Exactly.
Now you beat, now they will say
today you will send a child.
They will say that children have rights.
You will send a child to school when the teacher will only point finger at the child. You will come and say, no, I'm going to lay a complaint. I'm going to say to
parents come and shout and insult us in school.
Children, teachers,
because they think they have money, but more than 24 hours of the child's life, let me just say, almost more than half of that child's life is spent. If you are in a boarding, if you are a teacher in a boarding school, the child spends more than half of his life in the school.
So
at the end of the day, instead of pampering the teachers, you come and
insult them. I think we got to regulate the way we allow, things coming from abroad and to enter our country, just like Chinese.
Many persons are writing that they need a repeat of this program. We are going to do a part 2 and part 3 of the program, because many people are suffering from.
It's true.
We need to get some parents here to come and share their experience on this. Maybe Thursday we may come back on it. And Fah Elvis Tayong, thank you for coming.
Well, it's my pleasure being present here, and once more, greetings to the Gunoko people as usual. So, we are hosting our Mekuda, and so we had serious work today, the village square and all the areas in Gunoko village to prepare for Mekuda hosting, which we are sending our greetings to everybody. So Taximan Paulo, who is my good friend there in Boya, is watching us. and the host of the Nigerian community in Bamenda, who were part of our laureates for the Golden Award. Greetings to you. And the Golden Award is ongoing till December 7th. So, greetings to each and everyone. The kangaroo system that is going on retirement will meet the Third Republic that will make things happen for the betterment of each and everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Akwi.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thank you immensely, fellow panelists. It has been a rich experience, and I pray that the little we have contributed here, parents will take it to heart. It's not like chastisement, but we want improvement. And to my fathers who have just been elected today as moderator and synod clerk, I say congratulations, and may the Lord raise you from higher to highest heights for these next 5 years for the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon.
Tah Mai, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Dear women, please don't allow us to say we should give you special treatment. Special treatment means that you don't have that. You have the capability, you have the power. Stand up, fight, defend, and take leadership.
Okay,
Should be available too.
Edmond,
Yes.
thank you for coming.
My pleasure, Leo.
Okay, we want to thank the production team, Eli and Desmond, and to all of you who took time off to watch tonight's edition of Prime. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.